Hello and welcome to the programme where we look back over the past year. It's been a busy 12 months in news, and here's just some of the highlights of what's to come.
Social media training is being delivered across the Humberside Police Division, but Immingham have totally embraced it.
The initial reaction of everyone here when they said that Humberside Police would be using Twitter was a sense of intrigue at first, and then a bit of a panic about if we're going to use it correctly and get the right information out there.
What's it like to see a site like that?
Well, it's marvellous. Nature, isn't it? Anything that nature does, it is marvellous, isn't it? You know.
The costumes have taken...
Now we start the look back in January when we visited a centre in Hull giving out food parcels, and we finish in February with Humberside Police going high-tech.
Emergency food for local people. That's Hull Food Bank's slogan. Part of the Trussell Trust, people are referred to the charity in times of need.
We have become so busy in the last few months. We expected it because of lots of the changes that were coming into play from April. And we really saw those kind of in the midsummer and now. But particularly we're seeing a big rise in people who are in work coming to us. It is a slow and steady rise, but that is one group that are really starting to need us.
From pasta through to something a little sweeter, all of the food is donated by local organisations and individuals. Manned by volunteers, they work hard to ensure all the food bags are ready. In November 2012, they helped 97 people. In the same period last year, 374 walked through these doors. Duncan Thompson is one of the first faces people see, ready with a cup of tea and a listening ear.
People who are existing on bread and milk, so the bag of food which lasts them 3 days is vital. It gives them a range of, it's all worked out nutritionally to give them the balanced diet. We also talk to them about the problems, benefit problems and things like that. It's the emotional support we give as well.
And as the number of people needing a helping hand is on the increase, these donations could be a lifeline for many. Erica Barker, Estuary TV. This may look like any other pet store, but Barry Gladding and his partner have been forced to turn the office of their family-run business of over 24 years into a bedroom. Their rented property at Barrow Haven was one of hundreds in North Lincolnshire that were hit by the recent floods. After 4 feet of water submerged at their home of 7 years, moving back isn't an option.
I mean, we came out because of the fumes of the central heating fuel and that on top of the water. We couldn't go back because of the fumes, so hence this was the next best thing.
But the problem isn't finding a new landlord, it's finding one that'll accept their 53 pets.
I mean, they offered us accommodation, but they won't take the animals or the racing pigeons. What do they expect me to do with them? Kill them? It's stupid. I mean, the family.
The dogs and the parrots are living with them, but their 50 racing pigeons have had to be left behind.
With racing pigeons, if you sell them and they let them out, they go back to their old house and there's nothing there. Hence, they're going to suffer.
They've been living here since the 7th of December, but until they find a new home, the future seems uncertain. For you not to have your animals with you, that would be heartbreaking, wouldn't it?
It is, because I've had them since I was 8 years old. I'm 72 now. The life... Excuse me.
Erica Barker, Estuary TV.
In the good old days of policing, the bobby was on the beat, communicating the old-fashioned way. Now they've gone high-tech and they're more likely to be found on social media.
Quite easy to fit Twitter in on a daily basis. You can do a tweet in the morning when you come in to tell people where you're going to be, what you're going to be up to. And once you're out and about on your area, if you come across anything that's suspicious or you think people should know about, you can tweet. And it goes to all our users and hopefully it spreads the word and gets everyone to know about everything.
Social media training is being delivered across the Humberside Police Division, but Immingham have totally embraced it.
The initial reaction of everyone here when they said that Homicide Police would be using Twitter was a sense of intrigue at first, and then a bit of a panic about if we're going to use it correctly and get the right information out there. Since then we've been on it about 6 weeks now, and everyone seems to be enjoying it, those that chose to use it. It's been a great tool for what we can do, and we get the message out there quite quickly.
As policing moves into the 21st century, don't be surprised to see officers using their smartphones on duty.
When you're using your smartphone out and about, you've still got to be a bit discreet because people have a public sort of opinion of what you're doing. I don't want to be seen stood in the street using my phone because people think what you're up to. So you can go somewhere private, you can go sit in your car, or you can go to your office and send a tweet. But as long as you're getting the word out or the message out of whatever you're doing, it's only a good thing.
You're watching the best of Estuary TV News 2014. Now let's take a look at what happened in March, starting with Erica Barker hunting for starlings and ending in April with the dedication service to a Lancaster crew who lost their lives near Caister in the Second World War.
Around 1,000 birds take to the sky each night. That's according to residents in Keedby. John Clark from the area was my trusted guide as I went along to find out what all the fuss was about. What's it like to see a sight like that?
Well, it's marvellous. Nature, isn't it? Anything that nature does, it is marvellous, isn't it? You know. So I think most people like nature and things like that, don't they? Yeah.
And what time do they normally come out?
Well, it's 20 to 5 now. There might be another 5-10 minutes.
Starlings are known for spectacular aerobatic displays, and we waited. And waited, along with the local birds who managed to bag the best seats in the house. Where do you think they've got to, John?
No idea. Well, I normally let birds down myself, but they've not been let down by a bird before. No. My luck's run out. Oh, there's something there. Oh, after they're going home, look, they've had enough. Come on, where are you?
As the sun went down and our hands turned blue, we started to give up and the camera went away. But the huge swarm called a murmuration didn't leave us disappointed. And you may not be able to set your watch by birds, but they can make you stop and stare in awe. Erica Barker, Estuary TV.
It's hard to imagine this serene spot in North Thoresby was ever witness to the horrible tragedy that happened on October the 4th, 1943. During a routine test flight, a Lancaster bomber came down, killing everyone on board. There are still some who remember it.
Well, it affects me every time I see a Lancaster bomber flying, because I just go, right, go start doing that.
Ben Jacob was born and bred here where it happened. He helped organise this memorial service, and he's even written a book on the crash.
When you look at the particular people on this aircraft, it was rather strange because there was Wing Commander Camplin, who was a pilot, had already done 2 tours of duty, obviously a very brave man. He had taken a posting as commander of the Lancaster Finishing School at Hemswell, a relatively safe position you would suspect. The flight engineer, Lance Reagan, had already done 1 tour of duty, was in line for promotion to be an officer, we understand. And again, we would expect to be a relatively safe posting. Then there was Second Officer Tanaya Whittle. She was the only air transport lady, we understand, to be killed in a Lancaster. And the rest of the people on board were ground crew. And they'd been up for an air experience flight on Easter Saturday afternoon. And it all went pear-shaped.
There's been nothing on this spot to remember the 9 that died that day until now. To commemorate the 70th anniversary of the tragedy, this plaque was unveiled next to the house that witnessed the horror of the crash. More than 100 people arrived to pay their respects, among them family members of the crew.
It's a very proud day, actually, and I think, you know, this was a working class man from a mill town in Lancashire, and he is commemorated. He does have a war grave, but, you know, his children, all 6 of his children grew up without him. In fact, one was born after he was killed, so they've not really they were so young, so today is a good day for them to remember their dad, and for me it's amazing because I've never had a granddad, so this is the nearest I've ever got to him.
I think it's been absolutely brilliant. As I said, I've been trying to research this accident for a long time and not really had a lot of luck. And then out of the blue, I had a letter addressed to my workplace saying, I've seen that you work here. Are you related to Eric Campling? Because we're trying to arrange a memorial. And through that, I then managed to find various other relatives, and we've all met for the first time today. So that's brilliant. I've now got some new cousins that I didn't know. We'll keep in touch. I think it was very, very moving, and it's absolutely brilliant that finally something's been done to remember them.
A book has now been published this year about those who died that day, although very little is still known about some of them, despite the 9 years of research it took to write it. But one thing we do know is that here, now, those who died will never be forgotten. James Dunn, Estuary TV News. Lest we forget. Join us after the break. Welcome back. You're watching the best of Estuary TV News 2014. In May, some of us went to sample the delights of a Regency ball, and we finished with the disbanding of the Normandy Veterans Association in June. It's the highlight of the social calendar for the most notable of Lincolnshire lords and ladies. Horncastle Regency Festival welcomes only the most distinguished guests, so naturally, Estuary TV were there.
Good evening, sir. I am Lady Carlton. I would have thought, sir, you would have recognised me. My husband is awfully well known in town.
There was food, dancing and plenty of gayness in 4 days of posh frolicking, with a finale at the majestic stately home Gunby Hall. So we met a few of the Mr. Darcys and Lady Bennets who came from far and wide.
Oh, well, my name is Lady Susan.
And I'm the third son of the third wife of the Maharaja of Kashmir.
I'm Sir Percival Ponsonby of Ponsonby Hall. I don't know who the devil you are, sir, and I don't know what this conflagratory thing you have here. Probably something to do with the French, I shouldn't wonder.
We are terribly caught up with the entertainment, sir. My husband is a very, very busy businessman, but we have come back to our country residence up here in quiet little Lincolnshire.
We had an arduous 5-day journey from the North Bank via Selby.
One of the reasons for me being here this evening is that I'm looking for a young man for my daughter Frederica.
Oh, our journey, sir, was terribly taxing.
Yes, I think in future if a bridge over the Humber could be built, it would benefit both the people of East Riding and Lincolnshire.
As it just so happens is that, well, if my daughter doesn't like him, I'm a widow, so I would quite like to take him up myself.
But we're here mainly to drink and dance and generally have a wonderful time. Not worry too much about the poor. They've got the prisons, they've got the farms. So I'm here really to chase the fillies, and really I want to be getting off now if you don't really mind. Cheerio.
How dare you, sir? I'm not a mature woman.
But it's more than 4 days of fun. Some of the dancers practice at venues all over Lincolnshire all year round.
Well, the highlights are the dancing, obviously. Most members are members because they love doing Regency dancing. They obviously love to get dressed up in period costume as well. And as soon as you put on the attire, it makes one feel a more dignified and refined kind of person. It's good to see members of the public interacting with us and showing enthusiasm. For example, when we were in Woodhall Spa yesterday, numerous people came up and asked us who we were, what we were doing, why we were there. And so we think on the whole it's been a tremendous success.
And those at the Netherfield Ball will be green with envy. But that's, I'm afraid, all for this summer season. So, from me, Lord Sussex, and from him,
Sir Mostyn Mannering Malhurish of Northlands Manor, it's cheerio.
And cheerio indeed.
You just keep plodding on, you go, you don't care, you get blown up, you're drowned and everything. I never didn't make the beach. As I say, I came off the landing craft and it was a hell of a long way from the beach and down the ramp, and my mate was a big chap, he was up to here, water, and I can't swim. And I got washed ashore, so I was lucky to be alive then. All my mates just went down, drowned. What you do about it?
A veteran of the North African campaign, George Artis was clearing mines on Sword Beach during the Normandy landings. His involvement with the Battle of Caen saw him receive the Légion d'Honneur, the French equivalent to the VC.
I got this because I was in Caen, Palace Gap, and I got blown up and 2 or 3 of my mates got killed. But, I mean, that was it.
The day made all the remaining veterans very proud, and it was about remembering those they'd lost. As 70 years on, it's still hard for them.
Thinking of everyone there. Lost some good friends, but that's life. But I'm being able to meet like this, and there's still only 5 of us, but we should continue meeting once a month, going out for a lunch or something like that.
Alf Duncan was on Minesweepers in 1944 and had the privilege of escorting Churchill and King George, but June the 6th is a day he won't forget.
Just went heard about was going on the Normandy landings because we knew it was going because we kept going down for rehearsal. And when I first got to know it, I was ever so pleased because I said to myself, there's one thing, I'll be able to swim now if I get torpedoed. Where up in the ice, if it wants, no chance, you know. And then when we got there and I see the carnage what them soldiers were, I felt a bit guilty for my thoughts, you know.
The National Standard would travel to Westminster Abbey in London in October to be finally laid to rest.
Now, also over the summer, we caught up with the Finnish ambassador on a trip to Hull and saw what Neighbourhood Watch was up to in the village of Habra.
Hull's connection to Finnish migration was officially acknowledged in a ceremony attended by the ambassador for Finland. Brought together by academics from the University of Hull and the Research Institute in Finland, the idea was spurred by a need to commemorate the migrant story.
Well, this was, I think, originally my own idea when I came to UK 2010 and was thinking what to achieve, what to organize outside London. This was one of the ideas that I had developed because I had read about the role of Hull in this transatlantic migration spectacle or operation quite a lot, and I thought that it would be high time to somehow pay tribute to what happened and to Hull's role as a facilitator of this great movement of humanity.
The exhibition charts the story of the journey from Finland via the UK to North America, but some Finns settled in the city for a short time to trade.
Some people did stay in Hull. They were immigrants or commercial people who traded with Hull, and Finns have traded with Hull for nearly a millennia. You know, large connections, timber, bread products, a large number of commodities that the region imported, but most were bound for America, and they stayed in Hull for a short amount of time. Hull, because of a trading monopoly, managed to ship the migrants over from Europe to Hull, and then they would join a train here from Hull to Liverpool and then go over to America. And for one price of one ticket, this integrated ticket, Finns could journey all the way to America and start a new life there.
The Finns were helped on their journey by a Hull shipping agency who assisted over 300,000 emigrants between 1891 and 1924. It was John Good's ancestors who began this.
My ancestor, the original John Good, was a sea captain trading with Finland, and because of his connections, they were appointed agents for the Finland Steamship Company, who were then starting to bring emigrants from Finland over to Hull, and then the emigrants were then travelling over to North America via Liverpool.
In the past, when we did have quite a bit of trouble, from vandalism, kids hanging about, things like that, maybe our burglaries and things, I think mainly because older people were more interested and were at home all the time, so obviously more vigilant than the people that are here now, because quite a lot of the people are older. They're the ones that would ring and let me know. That I always say to them, ring the police and then ring me so that I know what's going on and I can pass it on. But the newcomers that move in tend to be working and maybe things haven't happened to them. They've not had a burglary or a break-in or anything like that, so they're not quite as bothered. It's just the way it is, I think.
Neighbourhood watches are the eyes and ears of the community. Prior to its formation in Hayborough, the village had regular problems with youngsters causing a nuisance at the former chapel.
The kids have always gathered there. For years and years they've gathered there. And as each lot's grown up and gone, the next lot's come. And so they gathered there, they would sit and drink. You know, if they got hold of any beer as they got a little bit older, and the police would come and tip it away, and, you know, things like that. That I can't say they were bad. They were just kids. You know, they were just young kids, you know, just youngsters, and basically doing the kind of things that they all do. Being a nuisance, really, to the residents, I suppose. But we didn't get a terrific amount of break-ins, things like that. It seemed to go in spates. Maybe we'd get half a dozen and then nothing for quite a long time, and then again, you know. But when we set it up, really, we weren't getting a vast amount. It was just thought that, you know, it would clear things up completely. And to be fair, it's taken a while, but it has done.
As police budgets shrink and their policing areas grow, the Neighbourhood Watch Group is important in assisting the local force.
Take care, Jean. Bye. I personally do challenge anybody that comes in the street. If I don't know them and I see them, be they walking or even if they're driving, I'll go out and ask, you know, who they are. And quite a few of the coordinators will do that as well around here. And at the meeting, at the Neighbourhood Watch meeting at the Town Hall last night, they did say that they wouldn't do that. Quite a few say they wouldn't do that. But at the end of the day, I mean, there's no reason why you can't ask somebody what they're doing.
Well, that's the first half. We've gone from January to June, looking at some of the best bits from 2014. Unfortunately, there's not been enough time for everything, but please join us after the break when we take a look through the rest of the year.
Broadcasting to around 350,000 homes across East Yorkshire and Northern Lincolnshire. A year on from its launch, news editor Emma Lingard says it's certainly been a journey.
Local TV has been slated, I think. There are a lot of people who don't think that people want it, but we know from audience feedback that they like what we do. They want to hear what's happening in their community.
Well, I'm very proud of it. It's been a long while coming. And I'm very pleased that I am still here.
Welcome back. You're watching Estuary TV News, and in this programme we're taking a look back over the year at some of the best bits. Coming up, here are just a few of the highlights of the stories we'll revisit.
Mostly people develop their own layouts, but there's probably 2 or 3 people involved on each layout. There's not many layouts built with just one person.
It's been here since 1934, but over the years it's fallen into disrepair.
This building has been neglected, not used to its full capacity, for the simple reason.
Now in July it seemed fitting that the best of the best had a military theme. We covered stories from commemorations of the First World War to the arrival of a Lancaster from Canada.
Rolling, quiet on set, action.
Sorry Grace, that took longer than expected.
With a small budget, a high-end film is being made about a Lincolnshire family during World War I. Filming has been taking place in and around Horncastle and centres around Violet Pearson and Grace Crowder and her brothers.
I wanted to celebrate the anniversary of World War I. So we looked to tell the story of some people on a war memorial, pick it at random, and tell the story of them and their family and how the village that they came from was affected. And we thought we'd look to Thimbleby because it's very beautiful. So we went to the church and there were only 5 names on the memorial, and we did some research into those. And the most interesting and the most richly recorded of the stories was that of the Crowders. So we're going to the film focuses largely on the Crowder family and how they were affected. But we're also going to be touching on the other names in there that each of them will be mentioned.
The costumes have taken the costumier 2 years to produce, and all are authentic in detail, including the knitwear, which involved many people who responded to a social media shout-out.
And I can't knit. And I didn't have time either, so I was lying in bed one Sunday morning and I just did an idle tweet for a volunteer knitter thinking I'd never hear a thing, and it just, my Twitter feed went bonkers. I had, within the first hour I had 100 volunteers. Twitter blocked me because I appeared to be spamming because I was saying the same thing. This is my phone number, this is our web address, this is how you can find out more. My husband was downstairs making tea and he could hear my phone downstairs because I was using the iPad, going mad because there's all these tweets coming in. He kept saying, what on earth has just happened? and yes, I've instantly got an incredible team of knitters. There are 300 of them, 100 actively knitting, knitters and hookers. That's what you call the crochet workers, apparently hookers. And they're doing the most extraordinary work, researching, getting things. We've got knitting historians to make sure we get it right as well, and knitting all from period patterns, which is a challenge in itself. But the stuff is beautiful.
The film, which is being produced using crowdfunding, will be screened to local audiences in November. Despite the wet weather, the crowds were in good spirits to welcome Vera to England after a journey of over 3,000 miles.
When we got here and realised that we'd done it, we had an absolutely eloquent, sensation of you should never take anything for granted, because my friend turned to me and extended his hand in to shake mine and said, we've done it. And I said, yeah, but the brakes just failed. So that is why you may have noticed we came to a stop out there. We could have come further, but it's just unsafe. My good wife, immediately to my right, insisted when I started in this business on only one thing, and that she just said, stay safe.
This is important because it provides us with an opportunity first to see a unique site, which is the only 2 flying Lancasters, flying information wingtip to wingtip. But actually, it's even more important for what they stand for and what they remind us of. They remind us of an extraordinary generation whose sacrifice and service knows no equal.
It was also about honouring those who had served in the Second World War. Many of the veterans are now in their 90s, but had travelled to Coningsby for this special occasion.
I flew in Lancasters. I was a flight engineer, which was a bit of a strange job, really. If you look at any pictures, prints of Lancasters, they're all going to have 2 pilots. Well, I think the trouble was they couldn't try and train pilots as fast as they built aircraft. So they had to manage with 1 pilot, and they put a flight engineer instead. That was the pilot's assistant, really. And that's what I did. You had to look after the fuel system, do all kinds of jobs, and you were just about able to fly the aircraft straight and level and keep on course, but that's about all the training we got.
It's tremendous to see the 2 of the aircraft together, 2 of the homes in which I lived for quite a while, and thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it. It really was a great experience, and there couldn't have been in a better aircraft than this one. They were tremendous, there's no doubt, and they still are for that matter. I can still enjoy the music of those 4 Merlins rolling around. Makes all the difference in the world, it really does.
I used to put the rivets in and gun it, and the bloke at the back used to hold up, flatten it, more or less, you see. Well, I worked on the bomb doors, the undercarriage doors, trailing edge, ailerons, nacelles, and I loved it. It was the most gorgeous job I've ever had. At 16 years old, and I did 12 hours a night for 7 nights a week for the first 12 months until the production got going, and then they knocked the Saturday nights off. And did we have a ball when we had the Saturday night off, I'll tell you.
You're watching Estuary TV News and our look back over 2014. As we headed into autumn, not only did our news team grow, but our output did too. Let's take a look back from September to November.
Probe offers new recruits the chance to further their construction career, whilst also bringing some of Hull's buildings out of dereliction and enhancing the city's appearance and the quality of living accommodation at the same time.
As an organisation, we in tandem to this project, we've got a number of other projects, and some of them are just individual houses. So we're taking empty, derelict homes and bringing them back into use. On those, we're using our own apprentices, and we've got an agreement with the Hull College to actually bring on their day release students, so they get real first-hand experience of working on a proper building site. So it has loads of benefits in terms of local young people getting experience and training.
We're happy to take new students on board and offer them a safe environment to train in. So it's great for, you know, people learning the trade as well as us work with them.
It's the right ethos. It's what the construction industry needs to bring people on. The apprenticeship schemes are quite short, and because they're very college-based, like Steve said earlier, you need really to get them onto sites that aren't new, aren't a little bit of a refurb or an extension to a house, but they're a real mucky site with proper builders, and get dirty and work a proper working day. So refurbishments like this, they don't start at 9 and finish at 4:30 and do college hours. They work the same hours alongside the guys that are actually doing the hard work.
As part of their Ofsted survey about 6 months ago, the Ofsted people came onto one of the sites where their students were working, and it was mentioned in really glowing terms in terms of the Ofsted report. They felt it was a really positive and productive way of working with young people. And the young people themselves love it because they're just actually not just building a wall and knocking it down, they're building a wall and it stays. So it makes a big difference.
But what project will ever run perfectly?
There's a few bits and pieces because old buildings have got odd shapes, dark corners, that kind of thing.
There are always going to be things we find here that are never accounted for, so yeah, it's always a challenge. 200 years ago, building regulations were not as they are today, as you can imagine. So walls are supported on tiny bits of timber and where steel should have actually been used.
Projects such as this one are a sign that organisations coming together to share expertise and skills is vitally important.
So what we do is we help them when they find a property such as the one behind us. We help by doing an initial condition survey, help with a feasibility study, and then what we've done is brought architects, structural engineers in and specified, tendered and brought the contractors on board.
Check for his testimony.
These days, even the most fervent of town fans might be forgiven for not having heard of Sidney Wheelhouse. But in 1910, he was a household name.
I was always told he was captain of Grimsby Town and he was one of the finest players they had as right back. And I believe he only ever scored 1 goal, but he was a hard tackling man. He was well respected because, as I say, even when I was, 10 or less than that, people used to tell me about my granddad that played football for town.
But his reputation as a hard man and a great leader is precisely why he was needed for the war effort, and his prowess on the pitch wouldn't excuse him from his duty. Sadly, he never returned.
Well, he was at the Battle of the Somme, at the village of Avelis, which there was gassed. And I think he died 2 days later.
Sid had a wife and 4 children, including Ida, Ted's mother. And whilst his story has been remembered through the generations, the man who fought to the last both on the pitch and on the battlefield isn't well known among modern-day fans. But that's about to change. As Town play Halifax on Armistice Day, the club will play a slideshow on Wheelhouse, and Ted has been invited to lay a wreath.
Oh, I'm very proud of it. It's been a long while coming, and I'm very pleased that I am still here to see it.
Join us after the break for more news highlights. Welcome back, you're watching Estuary TV's Look Back over 2014. Since our New Look show launched, we've been able to give you more content. So here's some of the highlights of December.
It's one of the oldest and longest running model railway clubs in the country. Now, after finding new premises last year, the club is going from strength to strength. The group meets at Grange Farm Hobby Centre and they help each other in constructing layouts for the displays and exhibits. The club attracts a wide variety of ages.
The youngest member will be about 13.
And are they just as enthusiastic as some of the older members?
Yes, just as enthusiastic. As you've already seen, there's a layout being built by a youngster and myself, and he's autistic, which we try to cater for, and it's come out quite well, I think. Mostly people develop their own layouts, but there's probably 2 or 3 people involved on each layout. There's not many layouts built with just one person.
Last week, the club ran its 22nd annual show, showcasing to the general public and raising funds for the organisation. This year saw many new attendees going to the weekend's activities, including over 120 children who wanted to control and drive the trains themselves. This year, there were 8 layouts the public could see, 5 of which were new to the club. The club chair hopes that by running the event, they'd encourage more to join.
That's one of the objects of the exercise. But it's to convey to people what can be done if they want to join us.
Over 800 people attended this year, so how do new members join?
They can come any Tuesday night and Friday night to the Hobby Centre. We're here from 6 till certainly 9:30, sometimes 10. So they're more than welcome to come and have a look what we've got. If they've got some skills, they'd like to join us. If they haven't got any skills, it doesn't matter. If they're prepared to learn, we're prepared to teach.
So even if it's someone who, say, they're not very good with glue, they're not very good with paint, but they just want to sort of have a go with the trains, is that okay?
Yeah, there's no problem there. People have in the past done nothing but run. Some people come and read the books and whatever we've got in the library. Just anything to do with railways. If you're interested, come along.
Local horse riders and owners are urging drivers to take extra care around horses, especially during the coming darker winter months. At the same time, local horse owners say that others need to be wearing high visibility clothing to give critical seconds to car drivers.
There's over 3 million horse riding accidents a year in the UK. The British Horse Society are collecting statistics and data, and if you go online on their website, you can report every horse riding related accident on the road and across the fields. A high vis is important for the horse because he doesn't choose to be on the road, you choose to take him on the road. His colour will often blend in with the trees, the houses and other objects around him. Okay, and it gives the driver an average of 3 seconds more to see you. And if you've got the high vis as well, if you get separated from him and you're laid in the middle of a field, the helicopter can see you and hopefully pick you up. Other people can hopefully pick you out in the middle of the grass or in the middle of the yellow oilseed rape if you wear orange instead of yellow.
To demonstrate the difference of not wearing high visibility clothing, Sally then wears no high vis clothing. The Grimsby Institute of Advanced Motorists relayed to us how to safely approach and pass horses and their riders.
Our advice would be the same for anything. As you're driving your car, we look at people identifying hazards on the road. That can be anything, but it can be horses. With it 1, 2, 3, 4 horses, whatever. We would treat them the same as you'd treat a pedestrian in the road, a cyclist in the road. You would slow down as you approach them, ensure that you had a clear view past and that they had plenty of time to know that you were actually there. Then when you've got past the people on the horses, invariably they'll put their hand up and say thank you very much for giving them space.
John Harrison. It's a name that people may not be familiar with. However, a new project in Grimsby aims to remember his life-changing achievements.
It all started 300 years ago when the Queen Anne Act of Longitude enabled John Harrison to devote his life to inventing an accurate timepiece, a chronometer, which enabled us even today to find longitude accurately.
Harrison's marine chronometer earned him worldwide recognition. His H4C watch is on display in the Royal Maritime Museum in Greenwich, and there are memorials to him around the country. The Longitude Wood will add Lincolnshire, where Harrison lived in Barrow-upon-Humber, to that list.
It's all about the determination to help society, help mankind, bring about an interest in younger people as well, in their natural surroundings, and actually show people that there is an awful lot more in life than just simply sitting back and not partaking. This is going to provide exercise, health, scientific interest. John Harrison was far more than just a clockmaker. He had an interest, he was a polymath, he had an interest in so much, and here today we are going to build something that's going to enable people to follow his ideals.
The Longitude Wood will breathe new life into land in Grimsby that may have once been a landfill. It's brought the community together, and it's hoped it will provide inspiration to other communities throughout the country.
We just love to see everybody come out and get involved in tree planting and caring for their local woods. The Woodland Trust do run a scheme where communities can apply for free trees, so they're available. Just go online and look for Woodland Trust free trees, and we'd encourage communities to do that where they can.
The Longitude Wood is the embodiment of John Harrison's life, providing opportunities for research while giving something back to the community as a whole, and it's a fitting tribute to someone who changed the course of the age of sail.
It's been here since 1934, but over the years it's fallen into disrepair.
This building has been neglected, not used to its full capacity, for the simple reason that there was works required on the building, and it's come on in leaps and bounds, and it's now going to be used to its full capacity, and that's what it's for. We don't want to knock these buildings down. We want to have them restored to the use so that communities have places to hold their events.
Huge cuts from central government mean the council can no longer afford to run this building, and many others, such as some local libraries. But thanks to community groups such as this one, these services can continue to run.
We need the community to work with us, but more importantly, we need people from the community to use the building. And this is why the council, with the officers, have been very supportive of returning it back to community use. As an example, we're doing some work very similar with our libraries. And it is about getting the community more involved. And it's just absolutely amazing the commitment that the community groups and people have to working on community projects like this.
The prevalence of volunteers stepping in to run services like this is a relatively new phenomena, and time will tell if it's a model that works. But those who stepped in to carry the baton are confident.
Oh, it's fantastic, it's fantastic. It's a dream come true. There's no maybe or anything. We know that the building will be a success. We've already got people interested in the building that want to come to it, want to use it.
Grimsby's Estuary TV kicked off the local television revolution, being the first to air on a prominent Freeview slot after the government got behind programming for local people created by those living in the community.
The fantastic thing about local television is that it opens up a raft of new opportunities for new talent.
When you're talking about 12 million homes launching with new local TV stations up and down the country, the scale of this is very different to anything that's happened before.
It was a talk of not only the town but the country as the media descended. Broadcasting to around 350,000 homes across East Yorkshire and Northern Lincolnshire, a year on from its launch, news editor Emma Lingard says it's certainly been a journey.
Local TV has been slated, I think. There are a lot of people who don't think that people want it, but we know from audience feedback that they like what we do. They want to hear what's happening in their community. They like to see the people and the places. And they get a real sense that, you know, it's their channel, and we want them to feel part of that Estuary family. It is through the sheer hard work and effort of the staff at Estuary that we are still here a year on. Let's hope we can continue to grow, and that the people in the community and, you know, the local businesses continue to support us.
And from humble beginnings to birthday celebrations, it looks like Estuary TV is going from strength to strength.
Till next time, goodbye.
Until tomorrow, goodbye.
From all of us here at Hornsea, goodbye.
That's it from Estuary TV News. Join us again tomorrow. Until then, from all of us, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye for now.
Until then, goodbye.
But from me for now, goodbye.
Now that's all from Estuary TV News. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Goodbye.
Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Well, that's all from us. We hope you've enjoyed our look back over the year. We hope you can join us in 2015. We think it will be our best yet, and hopefully it will be yours too. Until then, goodbye. And don't forget that if you've got any stories, views or events you think our news team should know about, you can get in touch in the usual ways. Call us on 01472 315561. Get in touch using social media, just search for Estuary TV on Twitter or Facebook. Or email the news team on news@estuary.tv. We'll see you next year.